Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. Inflationary prices are still raging out of control. This is despite a downtick in gas costs and aggressive rate hikes by the Federal Reserve. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics shows that overall consumer prices rose by 0.4% in September. That's more than economists expected. It was already up by 8.2% from the year before. The latest data signals another likely rate hike from the Federal Reserve. U.S. demand for consumer goods is still too high, according to analysts. They say the Fed will likely raise interest rates by another 75 basis points and possibly 100 basis points in the next few months in order to curb demand. Good news for Social Security recipients. An 8.7% rise in Social Security benefits could be on the horizon. That spells almost $150 extra per month next year for 70 million people depending on Social Security. The Social Security Administration announced the almost 9% increase as an adjustment to the cost of living. This is the largest cost of living adjustment since 1981, when it was increased by 11.2%. Retirees should see the extra funds in January's checks, but whether this extra boost is enough to keep up with inflation remains to be seen. That will depend on the U.S. economy between now and the end of the year. And to discuss the latest CPI report and the state of the economy, we're happy to have on Ohio Congressman Bill Johnson. Congressman Bill Johnson, thank you so much for joining us on the Capitol Report.
Good to be with you this morning. Thanks a lot for having me.
Congressman, stocks are tumbling on news that inflation rose over 0.25%, more than what analysts had predicted. What do you make of these numbers, and where does the American economy go from here?
Look, the economy is going to continue to struggle. Inflation is going to continue to rise until President Biden and his administration, his allies in the House and Senate, realize that there's two primary drivers to this problem. One is the skyrocketing cost of energy. The president's policies have basically neutralized America's domestic energy production. As a consequence, we're not producing the oil and gas that we need. It's devastating to the American people that are paying twice the amount for the energy to heat and cool their homes, cook their food, put gas in their car. It takes energy to manufacture a product. It takes energy to get that product to market. It takes energy for the retail outlets to carry that product. It even takes energy for people to get to the store to buy a product. So as energy prices go up, the cost of everything else is going to go up. And then the out of control spending from the Biden administration. It just seems like money is running out the door like water through a sieve, and they don't seem to get it, that the more dollars you put into the system, the less value the dollar has, and that's causing prices to skyrocket as well. So the long story short, inflation is going to get worse, and the economy is going to continue to struggle under these kind of reckless policies.
Congressman, I'm going to ask you about the Biden administration's spending, but first, as you mentioned, energy, a huge factor in all of this. Saudi Arabia has cut oil production, angering the Biden administration. I just want to ask you, do we really need to rely on the Saudis for this oil?
Well, no, we don't need to, but President Biden's lack of leadership is what's placed us in this position. He basically stopped oil and gas production on public lands. The American Exploration and Production Council says that we typically historically have gotten about 24% of our oil and gas off of public lands. That's all stopped. At the height of our energy independence, we were energy independent for the first time in 70 years. Just a few short years ago, we were producing over 13 million barrels of oil a day. We're nowhere close to that today. And the Saudis, look at the role the Saudis play in all of this. The Saudis and the Iranians are not friends, they're enemies. And when the Saudis find out that President Biden is also going to the Iranians asking them for oil, that infuriates the Saudis. They don't trust President Biden any more than Vladimir Putin or President Xi does in China. And his lack of leadership is emboldening these countries to do these things. So I'm not surprised that Saudi Arabia saw an opportunity to punch the Biden administration in the nose over this energy crisis, and they did exactly that.
Congressman, back to your previous point, can the Fed really contain inflation despite Biden's fiscal spending, which was $1.1 trillion in 2022 alone?
Look, I didn't major in economics in college, but I know you can't tax and spend your way out of a situation like this. And I don't think raising interest rates, that's not going to do in the long run. It's not going to help the American people. I mean, the higher you raise interest rates, the more difficult it is for businesses to get capital to grow and expand their businesses. The more difficult it's going to be for new first-time homeowners, home buyers to try and get a mortgage. The American dream seems to be put on hold as these interest rates continue to rise. So interest rates are a Band-Aid. The real problem is the policies from the Biden administration that's driving all of this, the out-of-control spending and the cost of energy.
Congressman, I just read a Wall Street Journal report. Mortgage rates have jumped to nearly 7%, the highest in 2 decades, from roughly 3% just a year ago. Are you hearing from your constituents yet?
Oh, absolutely. I have a very close working relationship with the realtors in my district, and they are very concerned because many families have put home remodeling and expansion of their homes, taking out a second mortgage to do some modifications to their homes. They're putting those projects on hold. First-time home buyers are putting those projects on hold, putting the purchases on hold. So absolutely, as those mortgage rates continue to increase, again, the American dream is going to be put on hold for millions of Americans, and that hurts people in my district a lot.
Ohio Congressman Bill Johnson, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Good to talk with you today.
Tens of thousands of Venezuelans are provided a legal pathway to enter the U.S., but the DHS is using a Trump-era rule to return illegal crossers back to Mexico. The current administration may expand the legal pathway. Some experts say this could attract many more through chain migration. Here's NTD's Melina Wisecup with more details.
Immigrants from Venezuela arriving at the southern border have surged over the past few months. Unique encounters totaled 15,500 in 2022, rising further to 33,000 in September. That's compared to a monthly average of just 127 unique Venezuelan encounters from 2014 to 2019. In an attempt to ease the strain at the southern border, the Biden administration is creating a new pathway for 24,000 Venezuelans to legally enter the U.S. But for those who come illegally, they will be returned to Mexico, reviving the Trump-era's Title 42 rule.
But this administration wants to get rid of Title 42. So if they put this policy in place, part of which is that this Title 42 expulsions will now apply to Venezuelans, but then they get rid of Title 42, let's say several months from now, well then all they've done is create this flow of legally admitting people who are Venezuelan, and usually people who have relatives here. That's how that would work.
How much it will ease the strain is yet to be seen, as many who are weighing whether to cross illegally may continue to try.
Even though they will be returning Venezuelans now under Title 42, there's possibility for waivers and exceptions. They actually said that. Well, guess what? Why not take your chance? This administration is a soft touch.
The 100,000 Venezuelans already in the U.S. will be allowed to stay and seek asylum. The U.S. asylum system is currently grappling with a backlog.
If you look at the big picture, the greatest problem with the U.S. system is that it doesn't make the distinction between migrants and refugees. The asylum system itself shouldn't be hijacked by economic migrants.
The DHS has also announced a historic 65,000 H-2B work visas will be available next year. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
A new poll has come out on the relationship between misinformation and political extremism. Most of those polled say misinformation is causing more hate crimes. The Pearson Institute and the Associated Press conducted the poll. About 3/4 of U.S. adults, according to the poll, say misinformation is leading to more extreme political views and behaviors such as hate crimes. The survey shows that regardless of political ideology, Americans agree misinformation is leaving a mark on the country. 91% of those polled say the spread of misinformation is a problem. 74% call it a major problem. Only 8% say misinformation is not a problem at all. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.